guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Amber.
And I'm Mariah. Today is number 2 on our bucket list, Drive Through the Storm.
So this study is coming out of the book, What If God Wrote Your Bucket List by Jay Payleitner. And I'm going to read through the story part of what he said in this chapter. It's a little long, but I want you guys to be able to follow along with us and know what we're talking about, even if you don't have a book. So, okay, it starts out with him telling his story, and it says, "When I was 10, my family took a camping trip from the Chicago suburbs to New Mexico and back. I'm not sure about our exact return route, the miles we traveled each day, or the location of the campgrounds we stayed in, but I do remember this. The first day started beautifully. But as we traveled east, we ended up driving through a fierce thunderstorm. On the other side of the storm, we quickly set up camp on dry ground and cooked a campfire dinner as the sun was setting. Overnight, the rains caught up with us, pounding our 6-man tent. We slept little, and in the morning we packed up our gear in the mud. Over the next 4 days, we repeated the same pattern: drive through the storm, find a campground, pitch a tent, listen to the thunder, and hope the tent doesn't leak. Pack up in the mud, and then hit the road. My parents were troopers about the whole thing, and that attitude seemed to rub off on us kids. I remembered a sense of adventure and inevitability about the events of the coming day. There's the storm line, my dad would say. Should we stop now or try to get ahead of it? Mom would ask. Moments later, the windshield wipers would come on and we'd be surrounded by lightning bolts for the next hour or so. Oddly enough, surviving that storm 5 times was not the most significant memory of that trip. One of those muddy mornings happened to be a Sunday, and my parents were determined to find a worthwhile church service for us to attend. Remember, this was before Google Maps and cell phones. We broke camp, checked our maps, got off on the main highway, asked around, and finally made it to what looked like a nice little church, just as the last cars were leaving the parking lot after the last service of the day. Still, the 6 of us piled out of the station wagon, and Dad led us into the surprisingly empty chapel. Without saying much, Dad entered a pew and we joined him in a few quiet moments of reflection and prayer. Reflecting on that scenario, I am sure my parents never knew the magnitude of the lesson they had provided for this 10-year-old boy. We were not in that building out of necessity. No one was taking attendance. We were not there to listen to a pastor or show off our Sunday go-to-meeting clothes. After all, what we wore was slightly damp and rumpled. We were there because God is God, and we need to be intentional about spending time with Him. Yes, of course, we can talk to God anytime. He's everywhere. We don't have to be in a building with a cross on the steeple and a wooden pew. But for several days, we had been surrounded by clear reminders of God's power and presence. Whether we knew it or not, my mom and dad were making a statement to their 4 children and thanking God for His ongoing provision. Moments later, we were on the road and heading into another storm front. But that was a turning point for me for the rest of my life. I had a radically different perspective on God and how humans needed to relate to Him.
So he says, God surely appreciates a well-delivered sermon, but the item He wants most on our bucket list is a humble acknowledgement that we can't do life without Him. Matthew 7:25 says, "And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock." Build a foundation that withstands the storms. We all go through storms in life. During the storms, the best place to be is a house with a firm foundation. Even when we go through the storms, we shouldn't worry because we are safe. God is with us through the storms. He is our firm foundation.
So like she said, we all go through storms or trials, but if we trust God and follow His ways, then you will come out the other end of the storm. And you'll probably come out the other end of the storm a lot stronger than what you were before, because through that storm you had to have more faith that God was going to bring you through it. And so you grew in your relationship through it. And when the storm is past, you can look back and see how God worked in your life. Also, the way that you handle storms in your life can be a witness to other people who are watching you. This could cause them to see a reason for your hope. In Acts 22:15, Paul is having a conversation with Ananias. This is after Paul's conversion. And Ananias tells Paul, "For you will be a witness for him and to all men of what you have seen and heard."
Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven."
So that's it for this study. We hope you guys got something out of this and can use it in your life. And don't be afraid to shine.
Bye, guys.
Bye.